Numbers chapter 10. Yahweh spoke to Moses and said, "Make 2 trumpets of hammered silver, that you shall use for calling the people together, and for sounding the order to move on. Whenever both trumpets are sounded, the whole community is to gather around you at the entrance to the tent of meeting. But if only one trumpet is sounded, then only the leaders, the chiefs of clans, are to gather around you. When the trumpet sounds shrilly, the camps to the east shall move on. At the second shrill blast, the camps pitched to the south shall move on. The trumpet blast shall be shrill when they are to leave. But to gather the people, the trumpet shall be sounded plainly. The sons of Aaron, the priests, are to sound the trumpets. This is a law for you and your descendants for all time to come. When you are in your own land and are to go to war against an enemy who oppresses you, you shall sound the trumpet shrilly, so Yahweh your God will remember you, and you will be delivered from your enemies. On joyful occasions, on your festival and new moon feast, you will sound the trumpet at the time of your burnt offering and your communion sacrifices, and they will call you to the remembrance of your God. I am Yahweh your God. On the 20th day of the second month, in the second year after the people left Egypt, the cloud lifted over the holy tent of the covenant, and the Israelites moved on in marching order from the desert of Sinai. The cloud came to rest in the desert of Paran. This was the first stage of the Israelites' journey at the command of Yahweh given through Moses. In the front was the banner of the camp of the tribe of Judah in battle formation. In command of Judah's force was Nahshon, son of Amminadab. In command of the tribe of Issachar in battle formation was Nethanel, son of Zuar. In command of the tribe of Zebulun in battle formation was Eliab, son of Helon. Then the holy tent was taken down, and the sons of Gershon and the sons of Merari started out, carrying the holy tent. Then came the banner of the camp of the tribe of Reuben in battle formation. In command of Reuben's force was Elisur, son of Shedeur. In command of the tribe of Simeon in battle formation was Shelumiel, son of Surishadai. In command of the tribe of Gad in battle formation was Eliasaph, son of Roel. Then came the sons of Kohath, who carried the sanctuary. The holy tent was set up before their arrival. Then came the banner of the camp of the sons of Ephraim in battle formation. In command of Ephraim's force was Elishama, son of Ammihud. In command of the tribe of Manasseh in battle formation was Gamaliel, son of Pedahur. In command of the tribe of Benjamin was Abidan, son of Gideoni. Last of all, serving as rear guard of all the camps, came the sons of Dan in battle formation. In command of the force of Dan was Ahiezer, son of Ammishaddai. In command of the tribe of the sons of Asher in battle formation was Pagiel, son of Okran. In command of the sons of Naphtali in battle formation was Ahira, son of Enan. Such was the order of march for the Israelites in battle formation. So they set out. Moses said to Hobab, son of Moses' father-in-law, Roel, the Midianite, "We are setting out for the land which Yahweh has promised to give us. Come with us, and we will treat you well, for Yahweh has promised happiness to Israel." He answered, "I will not come with you. I would rather go to my own land and my own family. Moses replied, Do not leave us, for you know where we can camp in the desert, and so you will be our eyes. If you come with us, you will share in the blessing with which Yahweh blesses us. They moved on from the mountain of Yahweh, a 3 days journey, and for 3 days the ark of the covenant of Yahweh went before them, seeking out a resting place for them. Yahweh's cloud was over them by day when they left the camp. Whenever the ark left, Moses would say, Arise, Yahweh, and let your enemies be scattered, and let those who hate you flee before you. And when it came to rest, he would say, Come back, Yahweh, to the multitude, the armies of Israel. Numbers chapter 11. Now the people were seeking a quarrel with Yahweh. Yahweh heard, and his anger was aroused. A fire from Yahweh flared out against them and burned the outer part of the camp. Then the people cried out to Moses, and he interceded for them to Yahweh, and the fire died out. They called the place Taberah, because the fire of Yahweh was inflamed against them. Now the rabble that was among them had greedy desires, and even the Israelites wept and said, Who will give us meat to eat? We remember the fish we ate without cost in Egypt, the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions and garlic. Now our appetite is gone. There is nothing to look at, nothing but manna. Now the manna was like coriander seed and had the appearance of bdellium. The people went about gathering it up and then ground it between millstones or pounded it in a mortar. They boiled it in a pot and made cakes with it, which tasted like cakes made with oil. As soon as dew fell at night in the camp, the manna came with it. Moses heard the people crying, family by family, at the entrance to their tent, and Yahweh became very angry. This displeased Moses. Then Moses said to Yahweh, Why have you treated your servant so badly? Is it because you do not love me that you burdened me with these people? Did I conceive all these people, and did I give them birth? And now you want me to carry them in my bosom as a nurse carries an infant to the land you promised on oath to their fathers? Where would I get meat for all these people when they cry to me saying, Give us meat that we may eat? I cannot myself alone carry all these people. The burden is too heavy for me. Kill me rather than treat me like this. I beg of you, if you look kindly on me, and let me not see your anger. Yahweh said to Moses, Assemble 70 men from the elders of Israel, whom you recognize as elders, and men of authority over them, and bring them to the tent of meeting, and let them take their stand there with you. I shall come down to speak with you, and I shall take some of the Spirit that is in you, and put it in them. From now on, they will share with you the burden of the people, so that no longer will you bear it alone. You shall say to the people of Israel, Consecrate yourselves for tomorrow, and you shall eat meat. For you have wept in the hearing of Yahweh, saying, Who will give us meat to eat? For it was well with us in Egypt. Yahweh will give you meat, and you shall eat, not only 1 day or 2, or 5, or 10, or 20 days, but a whole month, until it comes out of your nostrils and becomes loathsome to you. For you have rejected Yahweh who is in your midst, and have wept before him, saying, Why did we ever leave Egypt? And Moses said, The people I am with are 600,000 on foot, and yet you say, I will give them meat, and they shall eat it for a whole month. Will sheep and cattle be slaughtered in sufficient number for them? All the fish of the sea would not be enough for them. And Yahweh said to Moses, Is Yahweh's arm shortened? Now you shall see whether or not my word is true. Moses then went out and told the people what Yahweh had said. He assembled 70 men from among the elders and placed them round about the tent. Yahweh came down in the cloud and spoke to him. He took some of the Spirit that was upon him and put it on the 70 elders. Now, when the Spirit rested upon them, they prophesied, but this they did not do again. 2 men had remained in the camp. The name of one was Eldad, the name of the other Medad. However, the Spirit came on them, for they were among those who were registered, though they had not gone out to the tent. As they prophesied inside the camp, a young man ran and told Moses, Eldad and Medad are prophesying in the camp. Joshua, the son of Nun, who ministered to Moses from his youth, said, My lord Moses, stop them. But Moses said to him, Are you jealous on my behalf? Would that all Yahweh's people were prophets, and that Yahweh would send his Spirit upon them. Then Moses and all the elders of the people returned to the camp. A wind arose sent by Yahweh that drove in quails from the sea and let them down beside the camp, covering the distance of a day's walk on one side and almost a day's walk on the other side around the camp. They were about 3 feet deep on the ground. The people spent that day, the whole night and all the next day, gathering the quail. He who gathered the least had 10 homers, and they spread them out for themselves around the camp. The meat was still between their teeth when already the anger of Yahweh was kindled against the people, and he struck them with a very severe plague. That place was named Kibroth Hattaavah because they buried these greedy people. From Kibroth Hattaavah, the people moved on towards Haseroth, where they remained. Numbers chapter 12. Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses because of the Cushite woman he had married, and they said, Has Yahweh only spoken through Moses? Has he not also spoken through us? And Yahweh heard. Now Moses was a very humble man, more humble than any man on the face of the earth. Yet suddenly Yahweh said to Moses, Aaron, and Miriam, Come out, all 3 of you, to the tent of meeting. The 3 of them came out. Yahweh came down in the pillar of cloud, and standing at the door of the tent, called Aaron and Miriam. They both went out, and he said, Listen carefully to what I say. If there is a prophet among you, I reveal myself to him in a vision, and I speak to him in a dream. It is not so for my servant Moses, my trusted steward in all my household. To him I speak face to face, openly, and not in riddles, and he sees the presence of Yahweh. Why then did you not fear to speak against my servant, against Moses? Yahweh became angry with them, and he departed. The cloud moved away from above the tent, and Miriam was there white as snow with leprosy. Aaron turned towards Miriam, and he saw that she was leprous. And he said to Moses, "My Lord, I beg you, do not charge us with this sin that we have foolishly committed. Let her not be like the stillborn whose flesh is half-eaten when it comes from its mother's womb." Then Moses cried to Yahweh, "Heal her, O God, I beg you." But Yahweh said to Moses, "If Father spat in her face, would she not hide in shame for 7 days? Let her then be confined outside the camp for 7 days. Only then shall she be admitted again." And so Miriam was confined for 7 days outside the camp, and the people did not move on until she had been readmitted. After that, the people set out from Hazeroth and camped in the wilderness of Paran. Numbers chapter 13. Yahweh then spoke to Moses, saying, "Send men to explore the land of Canaan that I am giving to the Israelites. Send 1 man from each of the ancestral tribes, all of them leaders." So Moses sent these men from the wilderness of Paran as Yahweh commanded. All were leaders among the Israelites, and these were their names. From the tribe of Reuben, Shammua the son of Zakur. From the tribe of Simeon, Shaphat the son of Hori. From the tribe of Judah, Caleb the son of Jephunneh. From the tribe of Issachar, Igal. From the sons of Joseph and from the tribe of Ephraim, Hoshea the son of Nun. From the tribe of Benjamin, Palti the son of Raphu. From the tribe of Zebulun, Gadiel the son of Sodi. From the sons of Joseph and from the tribe of Manasseh, Gadi the son of Susi. From the tribe of Dan, Amiel the son of Gamali. From the tribe of Asher, Sethur the son of Michael. From the tribe of Naphtali, Nabi the son of Opsi. From the tribe of Gad, Goel the son of Machji. These are the names of the men sent by Moses to explore the country. But Hoshea the son of Nun, Moses called Joshua. So Moses sent them to explore the land of Canaan and said to them, "Go up by the south and then into the hill country, and see what the land is like, whether the people there are strong or weak, many or few. See also whether the land they live in is good or barren. See what their cities are like, if they are open camps or fortresses. See if the soil is fertile or poor, if the land is wooded or not. Be courageous and take some of the fruit of the land." It was the season for early grapes. They went up and surveyed the land from the wilderness of Sin to Rehob near the entrance of Hamath. They went up by the south and reached Hebron, an old city which had been built 7 years before Soan in Egypt. The Anakites, the Ahiman, the Sheshai, and Talmai were living there. And they came to the valley of Eshcol, where they cut down a branch with a cluster of grapes. 2 of them carried this by means of a pole. They also brought pomegranates and figs. Because of the cluster that the Israelites had cut, they called that place the Valley of Eshcol. After 40 days of exploration, they returned. They went and met Moses, Aaron, and the whole community of Israelites in the wilderness of Paran at Kadesh. They gave account to them and the whole community and showed them the fruit of this land. And they said, "We entered the land where you sent us, truly a land flowing with milk and honey, and here is the fruit. But how strong are the people who inhabit the land! The cities are fortified with walls and bars, and we even saw that descendants of the Anakites, Amalekites live in the region of the Negev. Hittites, Jebusites, Amorites live in the hill country. The Canaanites are by the sea and along the banks of the Jordan. Caleb then quieted the people who rose up against Moses and said, "We should go up and take over the land, for we shall surely overcome it." But the men who had gone up with him said, "We cannot advance against these people, for they are stronger than we are." And they spread an unfavorable report about the land that they had explored, saying to the Israelites, "The land we went through to explore is a land that devours its inhabitants, and all the people we saw there are men of great size. We even saw giants. These giants were the Anakites. We felt like grasshoppers before them, and to them we must have seemed the same." Numbers chapter 14. Then all the community broke out in loud cries and wept during the night. All the people grumbled against Aaron and Moses, and the whole congregation said to them, "Would that we had died in Egypt, or died in the wilderness. Why is Yahweh bringing us to this country, where we shall fall under the sword, and our women and little children become part of the plunder? Would it not be better for us to return to Egypt?" And they said to one another, "Let us choose a leader and return to Egypt." Moses and Aaron fell on their faces before all the assembly of the Israelite community. Joshua, son of Nun, and Caleb, son of Jephunneh, from those who had explored the country, tore their clothes and then spoke to the whole community of Israel, saying, "The land we went through to explore is indeed a very good land. If Yahweh is pleased with us, He will lead us to this land and give it to us, a land flowing with milk and honey. Only do not rebel against Yahweh, and don't be afraid of the people of the land, for they will be bread for us. Their protection is withdrawn, and Yahweh is with us. Have no fear of them." All the community spoke of stoning them when the glory of Yahweh appeared before all the people of Israel in the tent of meeting. Yahweh said to Moses, "How long will these people spurn me? How long will they refuse to believe me, in spite of the signs I performed among them? I will strike them with a plague and destroy them, and then I will make of you a greater and more powerful nation than they are." And Moses said to Yahweh, "The Egyptians know that you have brought out this people from their midst by your power." And they told it to the inhabitants of the land. They know that you, Yahweh, are in the midst of your people, and that they have seen you face to face. They know that your cloud stands with your people, and that you go before them in a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. And now you would destroy these people at one stroke. Then the nations that have heard of you will say, "Yahweh was not able to bring these people to the land He had promised them in oath, so He slaughtered them in the desert." Now let your power be seen, my Lord, for, according to your words, you are slow to anger and rich in steadfast love. You forgive sin and rebellion, yet you do not declare innocent those who are guilty, but you punish children to the third and fourth generation for the wickedness of their fathers. Pardon then, I pray you, the sin of this people according to the greatness of your mercy, just as you have pardoned them from Egypt even until now. Then Yahweh said, I pardon them as you have pleaded, but as truly as I live, and the glory of Yahweh fills the earth, I swear that they will not see the land I promised to their fathers. For all these have seen my glory and the signs I performed in Egypt and in the desert, and yet have put me to the test 10 times and have not heeded my voice. Only my servant Caleb will enter it, because he has a different spirit and because he has followed me faithfully. I will bring him to the land where he has already been, and his descendants shall possess it, while the Amalekites and the Canaanites will remain in the valley. So you shall turn tomorrow and leave for the desert by way of the Red Sea. Then Yahweh spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, How long will this wicked community grumble against me? I have heard the grumblings of the people of Israel against me. Say to them, As truly as I live, it is Yahweh who speaks. I will do to you what you have said in my hearing. All of you of 20 years or more, numbered in the census, who grumbled against me, your corpses will fall in the desert. You will not enter the land where I swore to settle you, except Caleb, son of Jephunneh, and Joshua, son of Nun. But your children, whom you said would be part of the plunder, them I will bring, and they will know the land that you have rejected. Your corpses will fall in the desert, and your sons will wander with their flocks for 40 years in the desert, bearing the guilt of your faithlessness till the last of you lies dead in the desert. According to the number of days spent in exploring the land, 40 days for every day a year, for 40 years you shall bear the guilt of your sins, and you shall know what it is to oppose me. I, Yahweh, have spoken. Surely this is what I will do to this wicked community that has conspired against me. In this wilderness they shall be destroyed, and this is where they shall die. The men sent by Moses to explore the land, and who on their return had made the community grumble against him, those men who wickedly spread a bad report on the land, died of a plague before Yahweh. Only Joshua, son of Nun, and Caleb, son of Jephunneh, survived out of those who went to explore the land. When Moses related this to the Israelites, the people mourned bitterly. They rose early in the morning and went up to the mountain, saying, Here we are, we have sinned, but now we are ready to go to the place that Yahweh spoke of. But Moses said, Why are you going to disobey Yahweh's command? You will not succeed. Do not go up, lest you be struck down by your enemies, for Yahweh is not with you. The Amalekites and the Canaanites are there ahead of you, and you will fall by the sword, for you turned away from following Yahweh, and he will not be with you. They insisted on going up to the top of the mountain, but neither the ark of the covenant of Yahweh nor Moses moved from inside the camp. Then the Amalekites and the Canaanites who lived in the hill country came down and defeated them, beating them back as far as Hormah. Numbers chapter 15. Yahweh spoke to Moses and said, Tell this to the people of Israel. This is a rule for you when you have entered the land I give to you. When you make a fragrant offering to Yahweh, either as a burnt offering or in payment of a vow, or as a voluntary gift, or on the occasion of one of your solemn feasts, whoever takes from his herds and flocks for a fragrant offering to Yahweh shall bring also as a gift to Yahweh a grain offering of 2 pounds of fine flour mixed with 2 pins of oil. He shall also make a wine offering, 2 pins for each lamb, in addition to the burnt offering or sacrifice. For a man, he shall make a grain offering of 4 pounds of fine flour mixed with 3 pins of oil, and a wine offering of 3 pins of wine, offering it as a sweet-smelling offering for Yahweh. If he offers a bull as a burnt offering or sacrifice in payment of a vow, or as a peace offering to Yahweh, he shall offer also a grain offering of 6 pounds of fine flour mixed with 4 pins of oil, and a wine offering of 4 pins of wine as a burnt offering, sweet-smelling offering to Yahweh. This must be done for every bull, every ram, every lamb or goat. Whatever the number of victims you have for sacrifice, you must do the same for each of them. This must be done by every man of your people who makes a burnt offering as a sweet-smelling offering for Yahweh. If any stranger living among you or among your descendants will also make a burnt offering as a sweet-smelling offering for Yahweh, just as you act, so must the stranger do. There shall be only one law for you and for the foreigner among you. This is a law that shall bind your descendants forever before Yahweh. You and the stranger are alike. There is to be the same law and the same regulation for you and for the stranger who lives among you. Yahweh spoke to Moses and said, "Speak to the people of Israel and say to them, when you have entered the land to which I am bringing you, and you eat the bread of this country, you shall set aside a share for Yahweh. You must set aside 1 loaf as the first fruits of your grain, and set this offering aside like the one set aside from your threshing. You are to set aside for Yahweh a share of the best of your flour, and your descendants are to do the same from generation to generation. If, without meaning to do so, you fail in any of these commands that Yahweh has given to Moses, and that Yahweh has commanded you through Moses, this is what you have to do, you and your descendants. If it is an unintentional fault of the community as a whole must make a burnt offering of a young bull, a sweet-smelling offering for Yahweh, with the required offering of flour and wine, and a he-goat must be offered as a sacrifice for sin. The priest must perform the ceremony of atonement over the entire community of Israel, and pardon will be given, since it was an unintentional fault, and they have brought their offering as a burnt offering to Yahweh, not counting their sacrifice for sin for their unintentional fault. The entire community of Israel will be forgiven, as also the stranger who lives among them, since the entire people have sinned without meaning to do so. If it is an individual who has sinned unintentionally, he must offer a 1-year-old goat in sacrifice for sin. The priest shall perform the ceremony of atonement before Yahweh over the person who has gone astray by this sin of inadvertence. When the ceremony of atonement has been performed over him, he will be forgiven, whether he is an Israelite or a stranger living among them. There shall be only one law among you for the one who sins by an unintentional fault. But the one who sins deliberately, whether native or stranger, angers Yahweh himself, Such a person must be cut off from the community. He has rejected the word of Yahweh and broken his command. This person must be entirely cut off because of sin. While the people of Israel were in the wilderness, a man was caught gathering wood on the Sabbath day. Those who caught him gathering wood brought him before Moses, Aaron, and the whole community. He was kept under guard because the penalty he should undergo had not yet been decided. Yahweh said to Moses, "This man must be put to death. The whole community shall stone him outside the camp." The whole community took him outside the camp and stoned him till he was dead, as Yahweh had commanded Moses. Yahweh spoke to Moses and said, "Speak to the people of Israel and tell them to put a fringe on the hems of their garments and a violet cord on this fringe. You must then have a fringe, and the sight of it will remind you of all the commands of Yahweh. You are then to put them into practice and no longer follow the desires of your heart and your eyes, which would lead you to go astray. So you will remember all my commandments to put them into practice, and you will be consecrated to your God. It is I, Yahweh your God, who have brought you out of the land of Egypt, so that I may be your God. I, Yahweh your God." Numbers chapter 16. Korah, son of Ishar, son of Kohath, from the tribe of Levi, and also Dathan and Abiram, sons of Eliab, and On, son of Peleth, from the tribe of Reuben, rebelled against Moses. 250 Israelites followed him. All were well-known leaders in the community and members of the council. They came together and addressed Moses and Aaron, saying, "It is enough. The whole community is consecrated to Yahweh, and He lives among them. Why then do you set yourselves over the community of Yahweh?" When Moses heard this, he threw himself face downward on the ground. Then he said to Korah and all his followers, "Tomorrow morning Yahweh will make known who belongs to him and who is consecrated to him and may approach him. He himself will let the one he has chosen approach. You, Korah, with all your followers, take your censers tomorrow. Then you will fill them with burning coals and put incense in them before Yahweh. And Yahweh will indicate the one who is holy. Sons of Levi, you have gone too far." Moses said to Korah, "Listen to me now, you sons of Levi. Is it not enough for you that the God of Israel has set you apart from the rest of the community of Israel and called you close to himself for service in the holy tent of Yahweh, to stand before this community and perform the sacred service on their behalf? He has called you to be near him, you and all your brother Levites with you, and now you want the office of priesthood as well. What is the misdeed of Aaron that you complain against him? It is against Yahweh himself that you and your followers have rebelled." Moses sent messengers to summon Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab. But they said, "We will not come up. Is it not enough that you have brought us up out of a land flowing with milk and honey to die in the wilderness? Do you also want to lord it over us? You did not bring us into a land flowing with milk and honey, nor give us an inheritance of fields and vineyards. Do you suppose that all these people are blind? We will not come." Moses then became angry and said to Yahweh, "Do not look favorably on their offering. I have not taken a single donkey, nor have I harmed any of them." Moses said to Korah, You and all your company be present before Yahweh tomorrow, you and they together with Aaron. Each of you take his censer, put incense in it, and present it before Yahweh, 250 censers, and Aaron will do the same. So every man took his censer and put incense in it, and they stood at the entrance to the tent of meeting with Moses and Aaron. Korah assembled all the community against them at the entrance to the tent of meeting, and the glory of Yahweh appeared to all the community. Then Yahweh spoke to Moses and Aaron, "Stand aside from this community, so that I may immediately destroy them." They fell on their faces and said, God of the spirits of all mortals, for one man's sin, will you become angry with the whole congregation? Yahweh answered Moses, "Speak to the community and say this, move away from the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram." Moses got up and went towards Dathan and Abiram, and the elders of Israel followed him. He spoke to the community, saying, "Move away from the tents of these wicked men, and touch nothing that belongs to them, lest you perish because of all their sins." They withdrew from the area near the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. They came out and were standing with their wives, their sons, and little ones. Then Moses said, "By this you shall know that Yahweh sent me to do all these deeds, and that it is not my doing. If these men die a natural death, merely suffering a fate of all men, then Yahweh has not sent me. But if Yahweh works a miracle, and the earth, opening its mouth, swallows them, together with all they possess, and they descend alive to Sheol, you will know that these men have rejected Yahweh." As Moses finished saying all this, the earth under them split in two, opened its mouth, and engulfed them with their household, and all the men who belonged to Korah with their possessions. They descended alive to Sheol with all that belonged to them. The earth covered them, and they perished from the midst of the assembly. On hearing their cries, all the Israelites who were around them fled, for they said, "Let not the earth swallow us as well." A fire then came forth from Yahweh and consumed the 250 men who were offering incense. Numbers chapter 17. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, "Tell Eleazar, son of Aaron the priest, to take the censers from the blaze and scatter the fire some distance away, for the censers are now holy, because these men sinned at the cost of their lives. Let the censers be made into plates to cover the altar, because they have been offered before Yahweh and are sacred. Let them be a sign to the Israelites." So Eleazar the priest took the bronze censers of those men who were burned during the offering and had them hammered out to make a covering for the altar, and to serve as a reminder to the Israelites that no one who is not a priest, a descendant of Aaron, should draw near to burn incense before Yahweh, lest he become like Korah and his followers, just as Yahweh had said to Eleazar through Moses. On the following day, the entire community of Israel grumbled against Moses and Aaron, saying, "You have brought death to the people of Yahweh." As the community was rising together against Moses and Aaron, they turned toward the tent of meeting, and there was the cloud covering it, and the glory of Yahweh appeared. And Moses and Aaron went to the door of the tent of meeting. Yahweh spoke to Moses and said, "Stand away from this community. I am going to destroy them here and now." The two of them threw themselves face downward on the ground. Then Moses said to Aaron, "Take the fire pan, fill it with burning coals from the altar, put incense in it, and hurry to the community to ask the mercy of Yahweh for them. The anger has come down from Yahweh, and the terrible disease has begun." Aaron did as Moses said and ran among the community, but the terrible disease was already at work among them. He put in the incense and asked for the mercy of Yahweh on the people. Then he stood between the living and the dead, and the terrible disease stopped. There were 14,700 victims of the terrible disease, not counting those who died because of Korah. Then Aaron came back to Moses at the tent of meeting. The terrible disease had been stopped. Yahweh spoke to Moses and said, "Tell the people of Israel to give you walking sticks, one for each tribe, that is 12 sticks for the leaders of the 12 tribes, and write the name of each on his stick. And on the stick of Levi, write the name of Aaron, because he is the first among the families of Levi. Then put them in the tent of meeting before the ark, at the place where I meet you. The man whose stick sprouts will be the one I have chosen. This is how I shall stop the complaints that the Israelites make against you." Moses spoke to the Israelites, and each of their leaders gave him a stick, 12 sticks in all for their tribes, and Aaron's stick was among them. Moses placed them before Yahweh in the tent of the meeting. On the following day, Moses came to the tent of the testimony, and there, already sprouting, was Aaron's stick, standing for the tribe of Levi. Buds had opened, flowers had blossomed, and almonds had already ripened. Moses took all the sticks away from before Yahweh and brought them back to all the people of Israel. They examined them, and each one took back his own stick. Then Yahweh said to Moses, "Put back Aaron's stick before the ark, and keep it as a sign to these rebels, so that I will no longer hear their complaints, and they may not die." Moses did as Yahweh had commanded. The people of Israel said to Moses, "We are lost, we are all to die. Anyone who draws near the holy tent of Yahweh dies. Are we doomed to die to the last one?" Numbers chapter 18. Then Yahweh said to Aaron, "You and your sons and your whole family shall be responsible for the sanctuary. You and your sons with you shall suffer the guilt for any faults committed while serving as priests in the holy tent. Let your brothers of the tribe of Levi, your father's tribe, come with you too. They are to join you and serve you, yourselves and your sons, before the tent of the covenant. They are to be at your service and the service of the whole tent. But let them not come near the sacred vessels or the altar, lest they die, and you as well. They are to help you. They are to take charge of the tent of meeting for the entire ministry of the tent, and no layman shall come near you. You yourselves must take charge of the sanctuary and the altar, and my anger will never again fall on the Israelites. I myself have chosen your relatives, the Levites, from among the Israelites as a gift to you. They will belong to Yahweh to serve at the tent of meeting. But you and your sons will undertake the priestly duties in all that concerns the altar and all the sacred things that lie behind the veil. You will perform the worship services, the duties of which I entrust to your priesthood, but the layman who comes near shall die." Yahweh said to Aaron, I myself have given you all that is set aside for me from every offering of the people of Israel. I give it to you and your sons as your share forever. This is what shall be yours of the most holy things, of the consecrated food. Every offering that the Israelites give back to me, whether it be a grain offering or a sacrifice for sin or a sacrifice of repayment, is a thing most holy. It shall belong to you and your sons. You may eat these most holy things. Every male may eat them. You ought to consider them sacred. To you also shall belong all the first fruits that are set aside and offered by the Israelites. This I give to you, as well as to your sons and daughters, forever. Every person in your house who is clean may eat it. All the best of the oil, all the best of the wine and wheat, the first fruits given by them to Yahweh, these I give to you. All the first harvest of their land, which they bring to Yahweh, shall be yours. Every person in your house who is clean may eat them. Everything in Israel which has been dedicated to me shall be yours. Every firstborn brought to Yahweh shall be yours, the firstborn of all living creatures, whether child or animal. Nevertheless, you must make the people buy back the firstborn child and the firstborn of an unclean animal. They must buy back the child in the month in which it is born at the price of 5 pieces of silver, according to the official standard. The firstborn of cow, sheep and goat, these alone you shall not buy back. They are holy. You must sprinkle their blood on the altar and burn the fat as a burnt offering, a sweet-smelling offering for Yahweh. The meat shall be yours, together with the breast that has been presented with the gesture of offering and the right hind leg. All that the Israelites set aside for Yahweh from the holy things, this I give to you and your sons and daughters forever. This is a covenant of salt, an everlasting covenant before Yahweh, for you and your descendants after you. Yahweh said to Aaron, You shall have no property in the land of Israel, no share of it shall be yours. It is I who will be your share and your inheritance among the people of Israel. See, to the Levites I give, as their inheritance, all the tithes collected in Israel, in return for their services for the ministry they render in the tent of meeting. In this way, the Israelites will no longer go near the tent of meeting. This sin would carry the death to them. The Levites will take care of the tent of meeting and have the full responsibility for it. This is a law forever for all your descendants. Because of this, the Levites are to have no inheritance among the Israelites, the tithe that the people of Israel set aside for Yahweh. I give to the Levites for their inheritance. For this reason, I have told them that they are to have no inheritance among the people of Israel. Yahweh spoke to Moses and said, You are to say to the Levites, When you receive the tithe that the people of Israel must pay, and which I am giving you as your inheritance, you are to set aside a part of this as a special contribution for Yahweh. This will take the place of the offerings of new grain and new wine that all the people have to give me. Thus you too will set aside a share for Yahweh of all the tithes you receive from the Israelites, and you will give to Aaron the priest this part you have set aside for Yahweh. Out of all the gifts you receive, you will set aside the best as a share for Yahweh. This best part that the Levites set aside shall be credited to you as an offering of the threshing floor and the winepress. You may eat them anywhere, you and your families. This is your payment for serving in the tent of meeting. You will not be guilty of any sin because of this, As long as you have presented the best part to Yahweh, you will not eat any of the gifts before the best part is offered. In this way, you will not defile the sacred gifts of the Israelites, and you will not die. Numbers chapter 19. Yahweh spoke to Moses and Aaron. He said, "This is a regulation and a law that Yahweh gives to you. Say to the people of Israel that they ought to bring you a red cow which has no defects and has never been made to work. You will give it to Eleazar the priest so that it may be taken outside the camp and slaughtered in his presence. Then Eleazar the priest is to take some of the cow's blood on his finger and sprinkle this blood 7 times toward the entrance to the tent of meeting. The cow shall then be burned in his presence, including hide, flesh, blood, and the intestines too. Then the priest is to take cedar wood, a twig of hyssop leaves, and a red cord, and throw them on the fire where the cow is burning. Finally, he shall wash his clothing and bathe his body in water, after which he may go back to the camp, but he will remain unclean until evening. The man who has burned the cow shall also wash his clothes and bathe his body in water, and will remain unclean until evening. A clean man shall gather up the ashes of the cow and put them outside the camp in a clean place. They must be kept for the community of Israel to prepare the water of purification. The man who has gathered up the ashes of the cow shall wash his clothing and will remain unclean until evening. This will be a law forever for the people of Israel, as well as for the stranger living among them. Anyone who touches a corpse of any person whatsoever will be unclean for 7 days. He shall purify himself with these waters on the 3rd and the 7th day, and he will be clean. But if he does not purify himself on the 3rd and the 7th day, he will not be clean. Anyone who touches a dead person, the body of a man that has died and has not purified himself, defiles the holy tent of Yahweh. Such a person must be cut off from Israel, because the waters for purification have not flowed over him. He is unclean, and his uncleanness remains in him. This is the law when a person dies in a house. Anyone who goes into the house, or anyone who is already there, becomes unclean for 7 days. Equally unclean shall be every open jar and pot in the house that has not been closed with a lid or fastening. Anyone in the open country who touches a person who has been killed, or a person who had died, or human bones, or a tomb, becomes unclean for 7 days. For the unclean, you shall take some of the ashes of the cow that was offered for the sin, and you shall throw it into water in a vessel. A clean man shall dip a twig of hyssop in the water and sprinkle it on the house and everything in it, and on the persons as well who were there. And he shall sprinkle it on the one who touched the bone, or the dead body, or the one slain, or the grave. The clean man shall sprinkle water on the unclean on the 3rd and the 7th days. So on the 7th day the unclean is cleansed. He shall wash his clothes and bathe himself on this day, and in the evening he will become clean. But if the unclean man does not cleanse himself, he shall be cut off from the assembly, lest he defile the sanctuary of Yahweh. As long as the water of purification has not been thrown upon him, he is unclean. This shall be a lasting ordinance for you. The man who sprinkles the water of purification shall wash his clothes and those who touch this water are unclean until the evening. Whatever the unclean person touches shall be unclean, and whoever touches it shall be unclean until evening. Numbers chapter 20. The whole congregation of Israel came to the wilderness of Sin in the first month, and the people stayed in Kadesh. Miriam died and was buried there. Now there was no water for the community, and the people gathered together against Moses and Aaron. They disputed with Moses, saying, "Would that we had perished with our kinsmen in the presence of Yahweh. Why have you led Yahweh's community to this desert to die here with our cattle? And why did you bring us out of Egypt to this wretched place? It is no place for grain or figs or wines or pomegranates, and there is not even water for drinking." Moses and Aaron fled from the assembly to the entrance of the tent of meeting and fell on their faces. Then the glory of Yahweh appeared, and Yahweh spoke to Moses, "Take your rod and assemble the community, you and Aaron your brother. In their presence command the rock to give forth water, and you will make water gush from the rock for the community and their livestock to drink." So Moses took the rod from before Yahweh, as he had been ordered. Then Moses and Aaron gathered the assembly in front of the rock and said to them, "Listen, you rebels, shall we bring water for you from this rock?" Moses raised his hand and struck the rock twice with his rod, and then water in abundance gushed out for the community and their livestock to drink. But Yahweh said to Moses and Aaron, "You did not trust me nor treat me as the Holy One in the sight of the Israelites. Because of that, you shall not lead this community into the land that I am giving you." It was at the waters of Meribah that the sons of Israel quarreled with Yahweh, and where he showed his holiness to them. Moses sent messengers from Kadesh to the king of Edom, and they said to him, "This is the petition of your brother Israel. You know the trials we had to suffer. Our fathers went down to Egypt, and we lived there for a long time. But the Egyptians treated us badly, as they did our fathers. Then we cried to Yahweh, and he listened to us. He sent an angel to bring us out of Egypt, and now we are in Kadesh, the town which is on the borders of your territory. We want you to let us pass through your land. We will not cross any fields or vineyards or drink any water from the wells, but we will keep to the king's road without turning to right or left until we are out of your land." Edom answered, "You shall not pass through my land. If you do, I will come out to attack you." The Israelites then said, "We will keep to the road, and we will even pay for the water we and our cattle drink. We ask only for your permission to pass through with our sheep." Edom answered, "You shall not pass through." And the Edomites marched out to meet Israel with many armed men and a strong army. Thus Edom refused to let Israel pass through his land, and Israel had to turn away. The Israelites set out from Kadesh, and the whole community came to Mount Hor. There, on the border of the land of Edom, Yahweh said to Moses and Aaron, "Aaron must now be gathered to his people. You shall not enter the land that I am giving to Israel, since you rebelled against me at the waters of Meribah. Take Aaron and Eleazar his son, and bring them up Mount Hor. There strip Aaron of his garments, and put them on Eleazar his son, before Aaron is gathered to his people, for he is to die there. Moses did as Yahweh ordered. In the sight of the whole community, they went up Mount Hor. There Moses stripped Aaron of his garments and put them on Eleazar his son, and Aaron died there on top of the mountain. When the Israelites saw that Aaron had died, the whole community wept for him for 30 days. Numbers chapter 21. When the Canaanite king of Arad in the Negev heard that Israel was coming by the way of Atharim, he attacked Israel and took some prisoners. Then Israel made this vow to Yahweh: "If you put these people into my hand, I will consecrate their towns by anathema." Yahweh heard the voice of Israel and delivered the Canaanites into their hands. They were wiped out and their towns were destroyed according to the anathema. Because of this, that place was named Hormah. From Mount Hor, they set out by the Red Sea road to go around the land of Edom. The people were discouraged by the journey and began to complain against God and Moses. "Why have you brought us out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? There is neither bread nor water here, and we are disgusted with this tasteless manna." Yahweh then sent fiery serpents against them. They bit the people, and many of the Israelites died. Then the people came to Moses and said, "We have sinned, speaking against Yahweh and against you. Plead with Yahweh to take the serpents away." Moses pleaded for the people, and Yahweh said to him, "Make a fiery serpent and set it on a standard. Whoever has been bitten and then looks at it shall live." So Moses made a bronze serpent and set it on a standard. Whenever a man was bitten, he looked towards the bronze serpent, and he lived. The Israelites set out and camped at Oboth. Then they left Oboth and camped at Ai-Abarim in the wilderness that borders Moab toward the sunrise. They set out from there and camped in the valley of Seret. They set out from there and camped beyond Arnon. This valley in the desert begins in the land of the Amorites and is on the border of Moab, between the Moabites and the Amorites. Because of this, it is written in the book of the wars of Yahweh, "Waheb by Suphah and the valley of Arnon, and the hope of the ravine that runs down to Ar along the border of Moab." From there they went on to Beer. This is the well of which Yahweh said to Moses, "Call the people together, and I will give them water." Then it was that Israel sang this song, "Let the water spring, sing out for the well sunk by princes, the well dug by the leaders of the people with their sticks, with their staves." From the desert they went to Mattanah, from Mattanah to Nahaliel, from Nahaliel to Bamoth, from Bamoth to the valley that gives on to the country of Moab, toward the heights of Pisgah, which looks down on the desert. Israel sent this message to Sihon, king of the Amorites: "We want to pass through your land. We will not cross any fields or vineyards, or drink any water from the wells. We will keep to the king's road until we are out of your land." But Sihon refused to let Israel pass through his land. He gathered all his people, marched into the desert to meet Israel, and reached Jahaz. There he gave battle to Israel, but Israel struck him down and conquered his country from the Arnon to the Jabbok, which is the frontier of the Amorites, because this frontier was well defended. Israel occupied all the cities and the towns of the Amorites, including Heshbon and the towns depending on it. Heshbon was the capital of Sihon, king of the Amorites, who had fought against the former king of Moab and captured from him all this territory as far as the Arnon. Because of this, the poets continue singing this song. Courage, Heshbon, city of Sihon, well built and well founded. A fire came out of Heshbon, a flame from the city of Sihon. It devoured Ar of Moab and the balls of the high places of Moab. Woe to you, Moab! You are lost. People of Chemosh, your sons have fled. Your daughters were taken captive. For Sihon, king of the Amorites, has destroyed Heshbon. The little children and the women were brought as far as Dibon and Nophah. The men were taken as far as Medeba. When the Israelites settled in the country of the Amorites, Moses sent spies to explore Jazer. Israel took this city with all the towns depending on it, and the Amorites who lived there were evicted. After that, the Israelites turned and went up to Bashan. Og, king of Bashan, set out with all his people to meet them and gave them battle in Edrei. Then Yahweh said to Moses, Do not be afraid of him, for I have given him into your hands with all his people and his land. You shall deal with him as you did with Sihon, king of the Amorites, who lived in Heshbon. The Israelites killed him, his sons and all his people to the last, and they took possession of his land